Desperation. I tried them. I was married to a woman years ago. I've always been a romantic dude, like believe in the whole fairy tale thing. And with Libby, that's what it was. I proposed to her at the top of the Empire State Building, fell in love with her at first sight. She said yes. We didn't have sex before we were going to get married. We got married. 5 months later, I get a phone call. And I'm at work and she's crying and she said, hey, I took a pregnancy test and I just wanted to tell you that it's positive. She thought I would be upset, right? And so, of course, here it is. This is all amazing. This is a fairy tale. And then on the night before our first anniversaries, we're driving to celebrate. She was in the passenger seat sleeping next to me and I fell asleep while driving. And when I woke up in the hospital, they said, hey, man, we only brought back one body from the accident. And
Jesus.
So as you can imagine, that was tough. It was tough to deal with.
Yeah.
And I was a very I just thought that you just have to muscle through, like just a very masculine kind of, hey, you just got to deal with it.
Just
right?
mind over matter it kind of thing.
And so I tried that, and I tried every fucking weird kind of fucking thing you can think of, man. I tried all the fucking breathing techniques. I tried the fucking meditation for hours. I tried the fucking yoga poses. I tried all the fucking.
How old were you?
29.
Okay.
29 when she died.
And you had been married for 6 months-ish? Is that
364 days. It was the day before our first anniversary.
Fuck, dude. Jesus Christ.
That's rough. Okay.
So I tried all that stuff, right? And man, let me tell you, dude. And look, I know not everybody goes through something like this at such a young age, but I think damn near everybody goes through this experience of where they're like, man, I don't know what the fuck's going on around here. Hey, man, something ain't fucking working. Something ain't fucking working. And you know what I thought? I thought the whole time there was something wrong with me. Look, until it got to this point where I couldn't take it no more, and I found out, I read an article about this girl, this 15-year-old girl who had such extreme bipolar that when she was manic, it took 3 grown men to wrestle her to the ground. And when she was depressive, her father had to keep constant watch on her so that she didn't kill herself. Now, if you're a father and this is your daughter, you're fucking losing your mind, right? Nothing would work. And he finally, on the recommendation of a crazy doctor, decided to give his daughter a super dose of LSD. Nothing else would work.
Dr. Joe Rogan.
DMT.
So they gave her so much LSD that she ended up in a coma.
Okay.
And dude.
All right. So I'm not, the doctor lost me.
The father.
You had me right up into the coma.
Yeah, losing his mind.
I was about to look him up in the yellow pages.
The father's losing his mind, but when the daughter comes to, she said 3 words. She said, Dad, it's over. And bro, I totally got what she meant. Like those 3 words, Dad, it's over. It gave me hope in that moment, dude, that there's an answer, because I knew what she was talking about. So I had a contact in California who shipped me out some LSD to Ohio City, Cleveland, Ohio. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Just took as much as I could and hoped that I didn't get into a coma. And here's what happened.
How much are we talking before we get into the scary town?
I ordered, the girl sent me 10 pyramid shaped LSD. Have you ever seen them as pyramid shape?
I've seen squares always.
Well, this one was a pyramid shape and I took 6 of them.
Okay. All right.
And dude, here's what happened. It was the most beautiful experience of my life. Let me tell you something. Look, everything, and this is why it's so difficult to explain the inexplainable experience, because everything I'm going to try to say just going to sound cliche unless you experience it, which is, dude, everything made sense. This whole time, all of these years that I was fucking losing my shit and feeling so terrible, I was convinced that I was feeling terrible because I was guilty. Hey, man, you were driving, you fell asleep. This is your fault. Bro, that's hard to deal with. And when I was on this LSD trip, I realized, hold on, man. You don't feel terrible because you're guilty. The reason that Libby's death is beautiful is the same reason that it's tragic. It's because you loved the fucking shit out of her. And in a moment, I understood life in the way that it is, not the way that I would imagine it should be. What I mean is, all of that love that I had for her, bro, you don't get that without the pain of it. Now, maybe it would have happened for most people much later in life, or through some other means of loss. But I thought that this pain was a wagging of the finger. You've done something wrong. You're bad. But I realized, no, man, that's just the way life is. And it woke me up to understand life.
Was this after your first time you had this experience?
Yes.
And did it last, I guess, until now? Or was it a big kind of peak feeling and then you felt like you had to do it again to remind yourself? Or how did that go?
Yeah. Okay. So I went through that, right? I went through that whole thing where I thought, oh man, if I'm really enlightened, I ought to feel this way perpetually. No, that's all insane. That's all insane. Look, the enlightened life is everyday life. That is what life is.
What would be a good reason in your mind for someone, or what's the prerequisite you would say for someone to jump into this, or what it would take for you to recommend it? What would you have to see in what would you have to see in someone's life as far as their behavior, their thought patterns, the way they live, in order for you to go, you know what, I think this, what helped me might help you as well, and recommend that? Or is it something you think
that you mean recommend?
Like the
what?
acid,
Who would you
like
suggest
the acid
LSD for? Like what
therapy?
for Dr. Griswold here?
Yeah, right.
What are you looking for when you say, you know what, this might help you?
Well, listen, I've led retreats, right, where I invite people down to Costa Rica and I give them 7 grams of mushrooms. Okay, that's a hero's journey, right? Is what we call it. All right.
I've heard a hero's dose called 3 to 5 grams. And I just throw that out there so that when people hear 7, they know that this is a superhero's journey.
That's right. Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that. And there's a reason for that, is because I've had people take 3 to 5 grams and they're like, oh, you know, whatever. We ain't trying to do that. We're like, look, if we're going to do this, I want you to be, there ain't no question about it.
Nobody takes 7 and says, yeah, whatever.
That's exactly right. Like you take 3. I've had people take 3 and be like, oh, well, you know, that was really interesting. That's not what we're going for. What we're going for is that experience where you come, hey, face to face with all the things that you've been afraid of, man. All the things that you've been fucking running from, that you've been trying to hide from, that you just can't. And here's what you're going to find out. That nothing I can tell you is going to make you believe it until you experience it yourself. All those things that have been chasing you down, that you've been running from, are sneaking up on you to say, yo, stop running. Yo, we're on your side, motherfucker.
I've got
these people are all super advanced mushroom users, right? Like you wouldn't take some. So you're taking some fucking goober out there in the woods and giving him 7 grams of mushrooms.
Listen, the last retreat we did,
that's hilarious.
We had 7 people. We had 7 people that were there.
Nightmare.
And I took them to this waterfall in Costa Rica, and it has this like river, and very beautiful, right? It's awesome. Okay. 3 dudes and 4 women, and my man, one of the dudes just kind of loses it, gets completely naked in the river, goes over and starts to try hugging all the fucking women, right? Completely losing his shit. So sometimes weird stuff happens.
Ruining everybody's trip. No one's getting enlightened then.
Yeah. And that was the last time we were allowed there.
Actually, you know what I learned is I don't want to do that many mushrooms in the woods with strangers.
You know what I learned? I want to get high with Hugger.
Well, the interesting thing is what came from it was very interesting. There was this very beautiful, like, you know, everybody got all like conscientious and healing and all this. But the whole point is in doing this, these people come face to face with the thing that they haven't been able to get to. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if what I'm talking about sounds ridiculous to you, then turn it off. But there are some people who are like, man, there's something I just can't get to the fucking root of this thing, and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I want to talk about that. So
All right, let's go.
Kyle took LSD and he had a good night. You took LSD and you upgraded your RPG character, right? I don't know if video game analogies make sense to you, but so you're a different guy on the other half of the journey. Is that, you think, because of the dose or because of the set and setting? I think Kyle took LSD with the objective of having a fun night.
Exactly.
And you took it with the objective of updating your RPG character. So thoughts?
Well, dude, I totally agree with you, except you're being a bit too gracious to me. I didn't do it with the objective of upgrading anything. I did it out of pure desperation. And look, I'm going to tell you, pure desperation is a valuable and powerful thing. Mm-hmm. Because when you ain't got nothing else except, yo, dude, this is all I'm rolling all the dice on this. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, look, sounds like Kyle's a social guy, goes out and hangs out with his friends. This is gonna have a great time. But dude, that's exactly what it did for me, dude. I was like, yo, I'm gonna take the Robin Williams way out of the world if I can't figure this out.
I know you've taken people on these retreats, and you mentioned the naked fellow running around wanting to accost people. Oh. Are there any other really good freak out stories from people you've been around who maybe overindulged a bit, lost their mind temporarily?
Well, I'll tell you, the first retreat we did, there was a guy who went on it who's an entrepreneur and very successful, had $1 million business. And unfortunately, him and his wife were having some real challenges. So much so that she said that she had hidden a gun in their house and that she was going to kill him and the kids. She had really kind of lost it.
Yeah.
Well, he came down for this retreat because he was like, dude, I need something to sort this out. And the night before we did the hero's journey, he was like, yo, man, I don't think I'm going to do this. This kind of freaks me out. I think I'm going to pass. So I said, all right, man, no problem. We go, we talk about it, and finally decides he's going to do it. Well, so the next day I give him 7 grams of mushrooms, and dude, the next 6 hours were completely life-changing for him. There were times when he was just like looking around like he was just delighted. And then there were moments where he's like putting his head down here and looking up and looking at me very suspiciously. Well, the sun starts to set. We're in the jungle and it's time to go. And I was like, hey, man, we got to go. And he's laying on the ground, won't leave. Finally, we get him up, walking through the jungle, through the river. He needs to get on the back of this motorcycle because that's how we got there. So he needs to ride the back of this motorcycle to go back to the house. And he looks at me. He's like, hey, man, I'm scared. I was like, hey, dude, don't worry. I got you. Well, the next day, of course, we make it home. Okay. Mm-hmm. The next day, he's like, dude, when you told me to get on the bike, it looked like you were God. And God was telling me that everything was okay. Now, dude, look, don't get the wrong idea. What happened here is in his consciousness, something about he learned something about the way this world works, something that all the mystics have tried to tell us for all the time, which is everything's okay. Trust. Now, it made it seem like I'm God in that. That was just like an anthropomorphism. It was just like me playing that role. But sure. the thing that happened, the experience, okay, the experience, not something that somebody told him, okay, but he was really there. And really, do you know how much courage it takes for one grown man to tell another grown man, I'm scared? This grown man whose wife has a gun at his house and has never told me I'm scared.
I can't get over that. That's where I've been stuck this whole time.
This man is a scared expert. He knows scared like
said nothing about
back of his hand.
Before. Now he's saying I'm scared. Look, that's a huge experience of whoa. Everything.
He didn't leave his kids at home, did he?
Yes, he
ship them to.
My question is this: how does going and having any sort of treatment going to help that you've got a murderous, crazy lady at home with your children? Like that? Well, did he send her? Did she also get doped up somewhere?
She realized she was right.
Right? But what did he's like? You know what? I realized. She's right.
Right. Those kids.
Like, what happened? What was the resolution to that? Because the real problem is his wife is crazy. She has like postpartum depression or something.
Postpartum.
squared, cubed.
In a relationship, the real issue is when people, no matter what the issue is, there's two people that can't communicate. And so in this situation, the issue was that there was some question about some infidelity. She wasn't able to get over it. He wasn't able to talk to her in a way that helped her get over it. It was a fucking mess.
Shit. But she's gonna kill them. That's a whole other thing. That's scary.
That is so scary.
Well, I mean,
I can tell you, I would not be going to Costa Rica for drugs.
No,
if that happened to me. No. I would be, kids, get in the car. We're leaving now. We'd be searing across the state. There'd be a fucking Amber Alert for my car. I'd be getting out of my car, beating the shit out of someone in another car, taking their car, getting my kids in there, going, your mother's a crazy bitch. She told me she's gonna kill you. And they go,
she showed me the gun.
Yeah, she showed me the gun. She had bullets with their names on them.
Taylor, do you have any kids?
No.
So you don't know what you're talking about. Kyle, do you have any kids?
I have 4. I would take them and I'd get away with them. You know, like, look, if my wife told me that she was thinking about killing me and our 4 children, I might kill her. Honestly, if she said that, but I would definitely go to the authorities and put a stop to it however I could, because I can't let the kids die. I care about them too much.
I think we're getting off the point.
3 of them.
The point is everybody's got different ways of dealing with things, and
did the LSD fix it? Did the mushrooms fix it?
In this guy's case, it was a delicate situation, man. Like,
did it get
mushrooms fix it?
Like, did they get it broken off and everything with no violence? No.
Dude, you guys are kind of making fun, but like,
I want to know what happened. You told me the guy's wife is going to kill him and his kids, and he came to you to do mushrooms in another country, and you're telling me that's the right thing, and I'm saying, okay, so how did it end up? And I'm wondering if there's dead kids in the end of the story.
You probably wouldn't have told the story if that part happened.
I just don't get the feeling that you guys are taking or believing the story or something. It sounds like you're making fun of me, but
no,
the
reality
the story
is it's ridiculous though.
Okay, well, anyway, now they're together, and it sounds anticlimactic because of all the ridicule. But this is real life, man. There are real people who do things that, as you sit there in your chair smugly fucking judging them, they're real people who don't know what to do about situations.
Well, this woman, an idiot, man. You described craziness.
This woman who was
married to him is going to agree with
this Asian woman.
Is that what the police?
This way of seeing the world that is very humiliating to her if she's cheated on. Then she threatens the thing that she can only do to get his attention. And for you to be so smug and to laugh it off, these are real.
I'd rather be smug than a mother who threatens the lives of her children. Well, I think one's better than the other. You don't have to
be one or the other.
You're defending the child killer.
I'm not defending anyone. I'm telling you this is the way people are. I'm not suggesting that anyone's right. I'm suggesting that you let people be who they are and recognize that this is the way
if who someone is threatening to kill their children, you can't let that someone be. That husband didn't let it be. He took the task to go and try and remap his thinking to try and handle it, right?
I think you guys are missing the point. I'm sorry, maybe I'm just telling the story wrong. What I'm trying to tell you is that these are emotional things that people say.
Sure.
Am I trying to say that the children's lives are in danger? I have no idea. I'm just telling you that this is what the situation was. And if you get fixated on this one bit where
it's a bit.
Might have been something that she said in fucking anger. I'm just telling you that that's the way.
Saying that I hate you in anger is so much different than saying you're going to kill your children in anger.
Woody, let me run this. Let me catch you up real quick.
Roger that.
One of Michael's patients came to him because his wife told him, I have a gun hidden in the house. I plan to kill you and all 3 children. So he hooked up with Michael and they went to Costa Rica and left the kids with her. And it all worked out. And Michael says that I'm sitting here smugly judging her. Shut up, Michael. Michael, won't you? You're being a little smug there for someone who's on the side of a house somewhere with birds calling and dogs barking. I heard a stranger walk by a minute ago. Don't be rude to me and cut me off. I let you trail on for 3 fucking, I don't know how many stories of nonsense. All I said was, this sounds like a terrible human being. And if my wife threatened my children, she wouldn't be my wife anymore. And that's not a crazy thing or coming from a smug place. That's a normal thing coming from a sane place.
It does sound like she needed some help to reset, right? Like,
no, she didn't do the drugs.
Well,
he left her with the kids and he did drugs.
I did follow what
sorry.
I was saying,
Okay.
but she was the one who was off her rocker. It sounds like she wasn't. She needed to be committed before she made a terrible decision. You think?
I do. Yeah, I think so. Like if someone's threatening that to their children,
but I
don't think you can. Yeah.
And she got over it. Like, why did that work?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like, was he making her crazy? Did him leaving make her rethink where she was?
I think he had cheated on her and she was Asian, so that was extra bad.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that. Huh. And did they live happily ever after? Did they put it back together, or did they get a divorce and get that right? Michael?
Actually, they're still married.
They're still married.
They have, for everything you can tell, a much better relationship, and they seem to be doing great.
Huh. I think there's a little luck involved on this, right?
Yeah.
If she was losing her mind.
Like it's just, there was something going on with her, obviously. Like I would think that was the principal problem here. It's just, the whole situation is so bizarre to me. Like, because I'm just putting myself in that space of hearing someone I'm married to threatening my children and then going on a trip. Like, that's insane. Like you see that, right, Michael?
Guys, we're in a place where we're just not talking about the same thing anymore.
Oh, maybe you can help me catch up. I
don't really know what we're trying to do right now.
Have a normal human being conversation amongst
what
4 non-brain-addled individuals.
I think what Kyle was saying initially was that the whole LSD thing can be good, but you caught us off guard with this story because it's so far beyond what you should be seeking psychedelics for. If your spouse is threatening the lives of your children, to go on a trip and do LSD is madness, instead of taking action and being like, we got to protect our kids. I think if it's as serious as you laid out initially, of her saying, I hid a gun and I'm going to kill you and the children, you got to take that more seriously. That's not a I need to be enlightened situation. That's there is a life and death situation potentially, and this must be rectified.
Well, dude, all you guys are saying is that you don't believe this story because
no one has said that once.
No.
Not once.
You clearly
said that
are.
3 times though.
You clearly are.
I don't believe the story now because you're so defensive about it.
You keep suggesting
Did I ask that in a confusing way?
Should have happened, although actually what happened was the best possible outcome. So you're telling me that it should have gone another way when what I'm telling you is it went great. So
you're telling me you walked into the street blindfolded, found $100, and so that's must work. That's the way to walk across the street.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar. Like I have I've been on a hockey team and they say, Woody, play your position. And then I don't play my position and I score. And they're like, I hate it when bad ideas work out. Right? It's still a good idea to play your position, even though this one time it worked for you. Mm-hmm. So if your wife is threatening your kids, to leave her alone with the kids, even though it worked out, he needed to play his position. No, you don't see it like that?
He's culpable. If she killed him, I feel like he's almost as guilty as her.
I feel like you guys are fixating on one part of the story. That's
the interesting part.
I might not have the whole story.
No, Kyle laid it out. Yeah.
Oh, you think I do? Okay.
The interesting part is not what might sound most sensational, but the interesting part is actually what happened. And
the sensational part happened too. It's 2 for 2. It's that beats the other part because the other part just happened and it's not sensational. You've got sensational reality. I never said the story didn't happen. What I'm saying is the story is so ridiculous that it's fascinating.
Yeah.
That I want to do a case study on it. That I want to, if I knew that guy's address, I'd call the police in his area and tell them, hey, there's a crazy lady over there who's threatening her children. The cops should know. The cops should know.
They should.
Everyone who knows he wasn't telling is culpable in some manner.
I've been waiting to ask this. It's about your initial LSD experience where you went from grieving to, I guess, the next stage and getting better. You with me? Yeah. Okay. So I've done ketamine, and while I was on ketamine, all my thoughts and ideas were free from like self-doubt, self-reflection in a way, and second guessing. Every idea and thought I had was a good one to me. It normal me, not on ketamine. You suggest a business idea, even if it's a good one, I can tell you 7 reasons why it won't work out. And they're all legit, but they might be conquerable. You tell me on ketamine that, like, you know what, this is the way forward. And there's nothing about me that thinks good ideas are bad. Did you have a similar experience as you were trying to get past your grieving and guilt? What was the high like? Like, what? Because there were hours where you were, there's an in between. There's a grieving, thinking about taking the Robin Williams way out, as you described it, and then there's the, oh my, life goes on. I can achieve a happier state.
It wasn't.
What was the middle?
It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all.
Okay.
It's completely different. This is why we're having a difficulty here in this communication, is because what I'm trying to suggest is, like, it wasn't a graduated, like, I didn't come from this level and go to a graduated up and filled up and now I'm complete. It was a completely different experience of that, of life. A
completely different experience of life. Okay. So it almost sounds like it wasn't something you thought or dreamed or did during the high, but for some reason you came out of it reset. Maybe?
When I was on this trip, it was like several hours of seeing the world as if everything were harmonious. And regardless of the pain or the difficulty of any particular thing, everything just fit exactly the way that it was supposed to. And I fit as if I were a piece of fabric in this ever-changing pattern, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything that I'm saying is just a metaphor, right? It's just poetry trying to explain the inexplicable, trying to explain what is really beyond words.
Yeah, because it's you're trying to explain the sensation of a psychedelic drug. Like, it's going to be different for you and your feelings and the ability to articulate it than someone else. So different for everyone, I would guess. Like, it's the same way that, like, unless like the same, like, reason that you talk to people about hallucinogens or whatever, and it's about, like, what did you learn? It's always so similar of, like, this vagary of, I fit in, it's so secure and this, and it was just so right. And it's like, that sounds like everybody else, because it's, they don't have the words, I guess, to articulate it. And that's why the good hallucinating stories are always like, I saw a dragon, and there's like a narrative structure, because then people can kind of carry along with it. Oh, that makes sense to me. Oh, you saw a leaf turn into a scary bug and it flew away. Whereas, yeah, everything just kind of gelled, man. Doesn't really fit unless, I guess, you have the requisite experience of LSD. And even then, Kyle has never had that. And some of my other friends who've done it haven't. And so that kind of plays into what Woody's been saying, where it really does have to do with the setting of it and your mindset going in. Where if you're trying to be silly and have a fun time and watch movies, that's what you're going to get more likely than not. If you are going into it because you're traumatized from a horrible life event, then you're probably going to fixate on that. And that is going to be the driving force of it. And that's what I assume. I don't do hallucinogens. I did a small amount of mushrooms in college, but not even enough to
Do you know your dose?
even get a real experience. I have no idea. My roommate gave me some off of his desk. It was all chopped up.
As far as like the way I experienced it, it felt to me like if I'd went in with the idea that I was going to focus on a thing, then that would have been the focus. And I felt like I could change gears at any time while I was high and start thinking about things. And I could have gone to some dark place that was like scary or mean or maybe not healthy. I don't know. Maybe it would have been healthy to go there and like destroy my what do they talk about? Ego, yeah, like ego death or whatever. I'll hang on to my ego. I like it enough.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. But I really just wanted Fantasia to be cool and wanted that camaraderie with my buddies. And man, food tasted good. Man, that was the best donut I've ever had in my fucking life. And to be fair, it was a real good donut, but still, it was transcendent.
I always hear the stereotype that like eating on acid is like a negative.
People talk about the maceration, just the munching of food in your mouth being disgusting to them. I heard someone tell me that. Mastication. Oh. What did I said? Maceration.
You're close.
We were going to let you slide. It's okay.
At least I said masturbation.
Everyone.
Yeah. But I didn't,
halfway.
But I didn't have that experience at all. I just found that donut to be delectable.
Oh shit. We lost. I think we lost his.
Can you hear us?
Are you there, Michael?
He said something about a dying battery earlier.
He did.
That is probably it for Michael. Check out his link to his channel below if you're interested in him. Yep. Yeah, Woody, you stepped away, and Kyle and
I was like,
got into a little bit of a tiff.
Like, what happened?
I remember I was looking up at the top left where it shows the recording time, and I'm like, God damn it, Kyle, we're like 46 minutes in, and you guys are fighting about something.
He didn't think I don't believe he's done. He didn't think I believed him for some reason about that story about that.
Yeah, that was out. I didn't think
so. He told the story to us while you were gone about the lady threatening to kill the children, and she had the gun in the house hidden. And I thought she was the one who went to him for treatment. And then he's like, no, the husband. I'm like, wait, so he came to you years later and sought treatment, or like after the fact? Like, no, he left the kids there with the death threat hanging over them and left the country and came with me. And I was shocked by that like happening. And he took that as me thinking he was lying. But
right. But what actually happened is you thought that the guys,
I thought the man was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
But not that Michael was a liar. That wasn't where you was.
I didn't think that until he brought it up 3 times. He was like, it's like you don't think it's true. It's like you try to poke holes in my story. And no, not at all. I want you to tell me more about the situation and why that.
You know what was surprising?
That was a good idea.
Surprising is that the conversation was better after the fight.
Yeah.
Like unironically better. Like literally better.
I don't subscribe to that. I embrace my ego, and I am the reason that
he called me smug, and I ticked a little. He's like, you sit there in your chair. We're all in chairs. Those words? Yeah, you sit there in your chair, all smug, judging this. And I'm just like, man, you're
sitting there in your fucking chair with your goddamn headphones in your nose, with your fucking smug teeth.
He seemed like a pretty sincere guy to me, and I was really sympathetic to his.
Man, that guy went through one of the worst,
the saddest story of all time. Like, the most traumatic thing to go through and ever. Like, if that was pitched for the beginning, if that was pitched for like the beginning of a movie, it would literally. I was gonna make a joke when he said it early on and be like, dude, that is literally unbelievably sad. Like it would get turned down in a writer's room for being like, no one endures this level of 364 days of pregnant.
Yeah.
Like that's heartbreaking. To even be able to go on and
pregnant. I wonder how long the period. Yeah, he said that. How long from the car crash to the LSD trip? Did we get a vibe for that period of time?
Mm-mm.
No,
Oh, I thought
No.
maybe I.
we didn't learn how often he takes it.
Oh, we did every single day. Like that was so
Did he
funny.
say that?
Every single day.
Well,
100%.
microdose, yeah.
He's like, oh, I microdose though. Like constantly microdosing is my guess. He wouldn't answer. That was funny to me. Woody was like, so how much you do a month? He goes on about being a sovereign citizen or something. That's not what he really said, but something silly. And then so how many times a month?
Wait, hold on. I don't want to forget this idea. Can we book a show where we get him and that prison guy?
Jesus Christ.
and honestly, and I want to see if we can get to where all three of us are off screen at the same time. it's just those two.
And then, but we don't come back until the crew breaks up.
It's just like, I'm going to tell you this. You need to be doing LSD. And he's like, I was robbing a bank once. And he's like, really? That's fascinating. How'd you rob that bank? My daughter programs cell phones for a living, and she's only 6 years old. Her name's Susan.
And then the other guy speaks up, and he's like, I'd like to make this movie. I produce movies. And so the drug guy says, that's great. You're a movie producer. What do you do?
Oh,
and he goes on for like 5 minutes inexplicably. And the drug guy somehow understands every fucking word and just nods sagely while that would be a good show. Those three together, nobody can answer a fucking question. Look, I'm so sorry for that man's unbelievable loss. It is the saddest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I ain't lying. I wasn't sitting here smugly judging his story. I was sitting here. I couldn't
none of us
believe
were.
what he was telling
It
me.
does seem like there was a disconnect from time to time. Like we'd ask a
most of
direct
the
question
time.
and not get a direct answer, or he'd tell a story. We'd be like, "Wow," and he's like, "We calling me a liar?" No, that wasn't what I was going for at all. And there are just these.
He's like, what are you trying to get at? What are you trying to get at? I don't know what you want to talk about right now. I'm like, I want to talk about how that guy's wife was going to smoke him and his kids, and he went and did drugs in another country with you, and and at one point I kind of suggested that he might be culpable if she had killed the kids, and I saw him react to it. It was funny. I saw his face react. He was like, got him away.
Got him alone. Kyle does not like being called smug.
I didn't like it at all. I wasn't being smug. I was trying to contain
Let go of
that
your
part
ego,
of me
Kyle.
that wants to yell, sir, something awful happened to you. I bet, just guessing here, that you sustained a head injury in that crash that killed your wife. And I bet in the years since, you've abused drugs so much daily that you have a hard time communicating very, very well right now. And I also think that your perception on reality is literally altered right now. So you're getting some readings off me that aren't exactly accurate. Plus, you don't know me very well. I told him I had 4 kids when he tried to use that against us. He was like, do you have kids, Taylor? And Taylor was like, no. Then you could never understand. Do you have kids, Kyle? And I went, 4. You're not going to use that shit on me.
We really don't know exactly how many.
I had names ready to rattle off. I was like, if my wife, I was going to name them after all the dogs. I was going to use the dogs' names. Yeah.
Bart, Lisa, Maggie. My wife, Morty.
King of the Hill kid. Is it Tommy?
Bobby.
Bobby. Yeah.
Bobby, Joseph, Luann, and Con. Those are my kids. Con
Bobby,
Jr.
Joseph.
That'd be
I
funny
adopted
if he
Con
like
Jr.
caught
He's
onto the
He's
ruse.
Vietnamese.
Like, what are your kids' names? Ross, Rachel, Chandler, Joey. There's 2 more.
Fucking
Monica?
Rudolph, Blitzen, Dasher, Dancer.
I kind of liked him, and I was certainly empathetic to his story. He just, it just took a little persistence sometimes to get him to go where I was trying to.
Yeah,
It's just hard with a lot of like psychedelic people to get them going in the direction you want, because a huge amount of it is saying learn to accept the things you can't control. That's the overwhelming majority of it, seemingly the core of it. And a lot of it, so he'll say that, and it's like you can see all 3 of us be like, yeah, that's true. Like anything that helps you accept the things you can't control. If you're 5'8" and you want to be 6'4", you got to learn to accept that. Like that's a fact. You'll be happier when you do. But then it gets backfilled with so much stuff like everything is reality and nothing is extant other than your internal human self. And it's like, okay, well, what is my internal human self if not an amalgamation of my thoughts and beliefs?
My biggest one was, he was like, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with anyone. Everyone needs to understand that. And I was like, and the first step is doing drugs with me in Costa Rica. That's like, come on. If anybody wants to join him for drugs in Costa Rica, his link is down below. I bet you'll have a hell of a time.
I'm kind of tempted.
Maybe your wife bought a gun. No. Maybe you don't know where it is. Maybe you
just learn to accept that.
just learn to accept that.
I want somebody to
when
write like
has a gun and threatens to kill your kids, you go, that's life.
That one
life throws you a curveball.
Go ahead, Kyle.
At what point would he not think it's a good idea to leave the country and come do drugs with him in Costa Rica? I wonder. Dear Jonathan, or whatever his name was, Michael, was it?
Michael
whatever.
Griswold.
Michael. Dear Michael, my house is currently on fire. I had thoughts of calling for assistance. My children are inside. And I realized nothing really matters. When would we head to Costa Rica? Like at what point should we actually focus on what's going on? That one was a fire. It was a fire in the kitchen. The barn's burning down in the backyard. The children are about to be killed.
Yeah, and then saying all of this stuff is nothing. It's
and that shit happens all the
meaningless.
time.
It's just thoughts. That's Woody, you're in your own head, and this and that is, it. So much of it is just internal, not even internally, externally contradictory, where it's like everything is just you in your head and nothing matters, but it matters deeply that you improve your ability to see the world in this way. And so it's your internalization of information is wrong, and that needs to be fixed. Well, that's a mechanism by which you garner information. Like saying that it doesn't make sense. Nothing's wrong. That's why.
Though. Like I hear how it doesn't make sense. Like it's not lost on me. But here's a guy whose life mission, the focus of what he has going on, seems to be inner peace. And you say accepting what you can't control. That's it, kind of. But I don't know I think it's accepting everything and embracing peace is what he's trying to do. And that is sort of compounded or connected to this idea of psychedelics, which are very difficult to explain. I don't know anyone who's gone on a trip and accurately tells somebody else what his experience was. You can get little elements of it, like your colors changed, or one time I did mushrooms and I found campfire smoke, a little purplish, and endlessly fascinating. I'm a little fascinated by
smells are more
in the first place, but it was on a whole new level where this smoke was just all I needed to enjoy my night. But by and large, people don't describe their trips very well. And that combined with this idea of accepting inner peace being so paramount was a tough message to deliver.
It is, but and I understand, I guess, the inner peace thing that he's trying to put forward. It's just,
and there's given his
weird
background, why he would be like that.
Of course. Yeah. Like 100%. I get why he is that way and everything, and why that works for him. It's just
what I really want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. There's nothing meaning. Like just telling someone like none of this matters. It's all meaningless, and then going into how important it is to change your thinking in regard to these things is odd.
I think we need to circle back and just realize that we're trying to pick apart these barely cogent arguments from someone who wasn't sober and hasn't been sober in years.
Oh, you think he was high?
He was smoking weed while we watched him, and he microdoses daily, so he's high on at least 2 drugs right then, having a conversation with us.
That speaks to my lack of observation skills.
You couldn't tell he was a little. No,
I also thought.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I did a mean thing. I may have referenced the fact that he was outside a building and that there were birds and dogs.
I was there for that.
Oh, okay.
I was like, this situation needs a little soothing.
I was looking at you when I said it. I wanted to see how you reacted. I knew Taylor was going to love it either way, but I wanted to see what you. And I was like, Woody's trying to chill things out. He doesn't know the guy called me smug. He'd be with me if he heard that.
Dude, I asked who the guest was, and I came a little prepared. Like, all right, I knew what he was all about. I was like, should I microdose for the show? Just a thought, to join him. Taylor's background would have fucked me up. What is happening there? You're going from purple to blue. You are changing colors, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of
Is
those
it?
lights that yeah,
Taylor's
it
messing with
rotates
me.
from purple to pink.
It's a
It's
light.
literally not. It's just auto correcting it's changing colors. You're right. There's no color. Oh, it's the PC light. That's what it is shining back there.
the
The under
RGB.
the I did not. I forgot I had that thing.
Yeah.
So your computer's just morphing its RGB, and that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I
There's
thought
probably
it
a way
was,
to turn it off.
I
You
thought it
can-
was really planned. Taylor was
There's
like,
a
you
whole
know what?
system for it.
New me, new background. We're gonna get special today. We're upping our production quality. I'm not gonna show up on camera with a bunch of trash in the background like some loser.
Yeah, that's so true. That's what I was doing as I was putting in the hours, making sure that
Yeah.
my PC was angled.